Hey everybody, my name is Mason Neal and I've decided to start a cooking channel. So today we're going to be making chocolate chip cookies, which is one of my favorite desserts, and I'm taking the inspiration from Joshua Weissman, who is a big inspiration for starting this channel. But before we get into this recipe, I'd like to discuss kind of how I got into cooking. So a couple years ago I decided I want to lose a lot of weight, and I moved into this apartment with my brother, and we had to cook our own meals, so kind of got into cooking just by doing that. And through watching YouTube channels like Joshua Weissman and Babish, I have wanted to make a lot of the stuff that they created. So today I've decided that I'm going to start this YouTube channel and we're going to be making chocolate chip cookies based on Joshua Weissman recipe. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Thank you for watching. Leave a like and let's get to it. Let's talk cookies. So today we're not going to be making your average run-of-the-mill store-bought Nestle Toll House cookie. Nope. We're going to be making our cookies 10 times better, and we're going to make them stand out over every cookie that you could buy in the store. So one way that we're going to do this is we're going to be rough chopping our chocolate, which is going to give you more pulls of chocolate in your chocolate chip cookie versus just little bits here and there when you use chocolate chips or use store-bought cookie dough like Nestle. We're also going to be browning our butter, which is going to give the cookies more of a caramelized flavor and chew to them. So yeah, you'll see. Let's get into this. So here I'm just tearing my scale, getting ready to add in my ingredients to my mixing bowl. I recommend that you weigh out everything in a separate bowl and then pour it in, but I'm living on the edge, so I'm adding in 200 grams of all-purpose flour, or 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Next, I'm adding in 3 grams or half a tablespoon of salt. Now I'm adding in 4 grams or half a teaspoon of baking soda. Just grab yourself a whisk and mix those ingredients until they're thoroughly combined. So once you have your flour mixture thoroughly combined, set that aside, set your scale aside, and then you're going to grab your cutting board, knife, and chocolate. I'm chopping half of my total chocolate for this recipe right now, but all I'm doing here to cut this chocolate is kind of rolling the knife over the top. Please do not judge. I have never looked at how to use a kitchen knife for the right skills, and you'll see that in a second because I almost chopped my finger off. But cut your pieces however you like. I like to make mine random. Not too big, not too small, but as you can see here, I'm about to roll the knife on my hand. So don't do that. So please be careful when chopping things. Look up a video on how to properly do it. I'll try to do that next time for the sake of my fingers. So here I'm melting my 112 grams of unsalted butter. Listen to the sizzle. All jokes aside, now we're going to brown our butter. So we're going to cook it until it becomes foamy, as you see here, on medium heat. Just slosh it around, and when it's done, it should look something like this. And this is going to add a new depth of flavor to your cookies. Alright guys, so I have removed my flour mixture from my bowl into another bowl so I can add in my sugar. Here I'm adding in 200 grams or 3/4 a cup plus 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. To that goes 112 grams or half a cup of granulated sugar. So now I've got my stand mixer all set up. If you don't have one of these, you can just use a whisk and bowl. But if you do, I would recommend using the paddle attachment, which I'm having a hard time putting on here, as you can see. So we're going to put this on and then drop it in, and we're going to put this on a low speed to kind of mix the sugar around. Then goes in our brown butter. Be sure that you scrape out all the little tiny caramelized pieces off the bottom, because that's the whole reason that you brown the butter to begin with. That's where all the flavor comes from. and that's what's going to make your cookies extra chewy, is getting all those little pieces. So be sure to scrape all of it in there. For reference, this is what those little particles look like that you should be going after. Okay, so now you've got your stand mixer mixing that butter in, and you're going to grab your egg, one whole egg, and then you're going to add in an egg yolk along with that. And what the egg yolk is going to do is going to make the cookies even chewier. So be sure to just put in the yolk and one whole egg, not two whole eggs. And here I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract. Now that you've added your egg and egg yolk in, we're going to grab our flour mixture and we're going to dump half of that in. Don't dump it all in at one time or you'll probably make a mess and regret it. So I would just recommend adding half in at a time, mix it around, and add the other half in, like I'm doing here. Alright, in goes the other half. You can actually do this by hand with your flour to save your stand mixer, but I prefer this because it's easy. So now just mix that flour in really good so your dough comes together. And then we'll fold in our chocolate chips. As you can see here, this is what your dough should look like before you put in your chocolate chips. I recommend folding in your chocolate chips by hand because that can be very harsh on your stand mixer and you get a good workout in. So I'm adding in half my chocolate chips and then I'm folding them around and then I'm going to add the other half until it's thoroughly combined. Now once your dough is done, it should look something like this. Chocolate chips all throughout. Then you're going to grab some sort of item to cover this. I just had parchment paper and tin foil, so I pressed down parchment paper on top and then covered it with tin foil, but saran wrap would probably be the best option here. So now that your cookie dough is covered, we're going to let it sit in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes. I let mine sit for a couple of days and I took it out. Now leaving it a couple of days is going to let the flavors incorporate more and it's going to lead to a better tasting cookie, but you do you. I recommend the long period of time. Now we're preheating our oven to 350 degrees before we get our cookie dough into balls. Now I'm taking my baking sheet and I'm going to line it with parchment paper. I'm going to struggle a little bit because I haven't used parchment paper in a very long time. So ripping it off here, I think a better way to do it was to be like run the seams down the edges, but I had a hard time. So now I'm taking my cookie dough. Look at that dough. It's been sitting for 2 days now in the refrigerator. So all I'm doing here to get my cookie dough out is using an ice cream scoop. This is going to make for bigger cookies, which I prefer, but I made 2 trays of these big ones and then the rest I rolled into little cookies, but you'll see that in a second. So I'm scooping these on until I got 3 cookies because I want to make sure there's enough space so they don't stick together. So after you get these ready and your oven is preheated, we're going to pop them into the oven. Look at those cookies. And in the oven they go. I cook these larger cookies for 12 minutes. It may take up to 15, but 12 worked perfectly for me. So I put those in the oven and let those cook. And while those were cooking, I decided to roll out my mini ones, which you'll see in a second. So here on my smaller baking sheet, I could fit 6 small cookies. So as you can see, I have the little guys right here. And while the other ones are cooking, I'm getting these ready, and I'm also going to taste this chocolate chip right here. Yep, those are good. Alright guys, so at about the 6-minute mark, you're going to want to lift your pan up, like I'm doing here, and drop it down, lift it up, drop it down, and you're going to do this 2 or 3 times. And what this is going to do is pop all the air bubbles in the cookie and make for a more dense and chewy cookie. So as you can see, this is the finished product. I actually did the pan drop a few times throughout, so I would recommend just doing it at the 6-minute mark and maybe the 8-minute mark. But look at these cookies, guys. I mean, what is better than that? A Nestle Toll House isn't going to cut it with that. And now, for a moment to appreciate these.
Cast control.
Thank you everybody for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the thumbs up button below to like this video. Also leave a comment of something that you want me to cook in the near future. I plan on posting here every week, maybe multiple times. Also hit the notification bell. That's always that you can help grow this channel. I really appreciate it, guys, and I'll see you next time.